Hi everyone, this is Andrea, Yard of Yards Consulting, also known as Ands in the Street for those who follow me on Instagram. If you're here following me today by YouTube, thank you for joining me. Please remember to like and subscribe to be alerted of any new videos that I provide to you. And I want to first thank everyone who is really working hard to practice social distancing, follow all the guidelines that come along with that so that we can flatten this curve. Obviously, you can see me, I'm here, man's on the street who has hardly been on the street, right? I am trying my best to do my part and then going out when I need to, and that is for essential products from the supermarket. That's pretty much it, in the pharmacy if I need to go. Now, we are noticing in our local communities there is an issue still with observing the social distancing guidelines and also implementing these guidelines. And I'm more focused today on implementing the guidelines to our business communities. Now, I'm part, of course, I'm from here in New York City, Queens, New York. We're part of the five boroughs, and anyone who is New York State, we're here as well. We're one state, one family. And actually, wherever you are, we should be at this time thinking about each other. So if you are practicing social distancing in your in your community, if you are required by law for your business to practice social distancing, hopefully these tips also work for you. And if you're not required, but you're doing so in solidarity and understand the seriousness, the serious nature of this virus. Thank you so much for contributing to the cause. I think this is amazing that you're doing so. So some of these tips are actually coming from locally and also from Canada. I have some family in Canada, and they've been telling me the great things that the supermarket has been doing in their neighborhoods to help flatten this curve. So, what the consensus is that I'm seeing, and I've actually experienced myself and also some of my family, and of course, we were talking about this, is there's some issues when we're going out to our local supermarkets in particular. Not hearing too much about the drugstore, but the supermarkets, because food, all of these services are essential, but food, people are shopping for food, and there's a problem with crowding. There's a problem with too many people being in supermarkets. There's an issue with too many people being in aisles. And there's also an issue with people not seeing people with masks. So there's some concerns about that. Also for our restaurants and some of our takeouts, there's concerns that they're not enforcing social distancing, and they may not be themselves, the managers or the employees may not be doing so. So, hopefully these tips are there. They're helpful. There is also task force out there that are making sure that businesses are complying. Our wonderful NYPD who are working so hard with this COVID task force. There are fines out there. We are being fined up to $1,000 per violation, and that is something very serious because something simple and small as following the basic guidelines, if we're not adhering to them, the fines will be there, and it could be quite costly. And really and truly, really, a fine should not be something that you need to be concerned about anyway if you're practicing proper measures. And if you're not, hopefully these tips can help you, because I know a lot of us are really trying our best, but sometimes we're not clear on the guidelines, or we sort of missed the mark for whatever reason, right? So I'm sharing some best practices that I've seen myself be implemented, and I'm also sharing some that I've heard as well. And also, hopefully these tips can be shared with your local Chamber of Commerce and also your local merchants associations or whatever organization that you belong to. Let's share these ideas. We know we're talking about financing, but these are critical things as well as impacting us in a very, very big way. So some of the best practices I'm seeing businesses implementing is, one in particular, is limiting the amount of people that can come into your store at a time. And this is particularly for our supermarkets and our drugstores, or any one store that we can actually walk in. We know the restaurants, it's pick up or place an order for delivery. So this particular tip is really for those who have more than 10 people that can come into the store. Limit the amount of people that come into your store. There are some supermarkets and pharmacies. They're allowing only 10 people in at a time. There's someone who is managing the doorways, the count to see who is coming in, who's coming out, and they're allowing people space to pass each other so that they can go into the store and shop. So if you're in the store, if you have high traffic area, as a suggesting from experience in retail and high traffic area, you want to disperse your employees who are working together. Some of our employees are having conversations in the aisles. If they can come out of the aisles, make room for those for your patrons to shop, right? If some aisles are narrow, that is a concern. So if you have narrow aisles, you may even want to reduce the amount of people, or limit the amount of people that come into your store at a time to maybe even 5 if you have a larger store but you have narrow aisles. Think about this. Social distancing is the 6 feet. If your aisles are narrow, that may be kind of impossible if somebody's passing. Even if they're passing for a moment or so, sometimes it is a little bit of a tight squeeze. So you may also want to eliminate the amount of people who could come in the aisle, or help your customers as well. Help them shop. Know the stores. Have your employees know the aisles, what produce and products are in those aisles. So especially those high traffic areas, to help those shops. So what I mean by helping them shop, see a person, I see you're coming into this aisle, anything you're looking for in particular, let them answer, well, what item are you looking for? That would be a better question. What item are you looking for? If you know that item is there, grab that item for the customer. Let them know if there's any limits to amount that they can grab as well at that time. And also your checkout person should be also advising what is the limit of a particular product if you are grabbing it for them. Also, those items that have limits, put a sign, have one of your signers up saying that there's a limit, so they know in advance that instead of grabbing 2 or 3 containers or packages of something, they already know that limit is already there. So by the time they get to the register, there should be awareness that there is a limit to the amount of items that they can have in the store. So that can eliminate confusion at the register, and also the length of time someone is at the register. Speaking of registers, we are seeing a lot of stores that have tape. They have the blue painter's tape to measure the distance of how much space between you and the person in front of you. I think that is a great measure. It's helping customers be aware of that social distance, so they know, how far they should be from the person that's in front of them who is checking out at that particular time. So that's also a great tip. Also, I'm hearing from Canada. I mentioned Canada before. My speaking of entries into the store, we're hearing that they have people who are, first of all, wiping down the handles of the grocery carts. But if you also have a basket, wipe down the handles as well, because not everyone, of course, use grocery carts. They may not need it. The size is too big, or maybe too heavy for them to push. So wipe down those handles with disinfectant. And also, those who are entering into their store, they're dispensing antibacterial hand sanitizers, rather, to the customer's hand, or they have the machine that's doing it. So they're at the door, customer, of course, sticking out the hand for the auto machine, and they're rubbing, the sanitizer together for the suggested time of the instructions, or the employees dispensing the sanitizer in their hands, either the hands or in their gloves, right? So that's great as well. Also have the signs in the produce section standing up to say, please limit the amount of times that you touch a particular item. If you're going to touch that item, be sure of the item that you want before you grab and squeeze, because what's happening is, yes, you're testing the firmness. We know we do our tests of firmness of a product, but when you're doing that as a patron, what you're doing is you're like the likelihood of helping to contaminate the items with the germs, right? Or virus, someone may sneeze or whatever in their hand, right? You're touching those items. So just think about that. We know we're going home and washing the items when we get home, but from the time of picking up that item to putting it bringing it into your home, the possibility that somebody's touching their face is there. So just consider that as well. Another thing is, I'm seeing a lot of stores outfitting their registers with the plexiglass, which is amazing. It's helping to protect, have a barrier up to protect their employees. What you want to be mindful of also is the space. Please just remember, if you have the credit card terminal there, limit the amount of space between the credit card terminal and the plexiglass. Just limit it to so that somebody can comfortably fit their hand in if they need to adjust or maneuver the credit card machine. Because if you think about it, it sort of defeats the purpose. If you having all that space in between, it's not putting up that protective barrier as you would imagine to your employees, between your employees and also your patron. I'm hearing, that some people are helping with packing groceries. Um, some people aren't comfortable with that. I think that is a good idea if you're doing that. It depends upon the patron. If they don't want you to do it, then that's fine. Let them pack their own bags themselves, right? If they, of course, what the bag requirements are in the state. If you're, if that's being enforced at this time, but give that person the opportunity to pack their bags. If they don't want you to pack their bags, they may be uncomfortable and they may not say anything. And I wish it would be great if we just do communicate, just speak in general. I have this myself, thank you, I don't need help at this time, so that they can move on to the next person. Another thing is, if I didn't mention this before, with congregating in the aisles, yes, again, patrons are just concerned about seeing a whole bunch of people in the aisle. As I mentioned before, help them with their shopping, grab the item for them, put it in their grocery cart, right? I'm also seeing supermarkets, I saw on the news earlier, where supermarkets employees are wearing some great shirts, some great sayings on the back of the shirt to help inspire someone's day, because the stress level of everyone, we're all at different levels of stress and responsibility. Those little touches really do help if it's affordable, if it's in your budget to do so. Have where everybody wear uniform shirts, color wise, and have a saying on their back if that is something that you can afford to do. Again, hopefully these tips are helpful. But to just before I move on, on that part, on the grocery part, I hope that's helpful for to those who are part of our restaurant community. There are some tips where I'm hearing that people are limiting someone from even coming into the store itself. They're taking the order at the door. So have your menus available if someone is not ordering ahead. Always have that opportunity, always have that ability to let somebody order in the store. That's going to happen. Just let them know that the wait time may be a little bit long. And if they're there, just have them stand to the side, 6 feet away. Just advise that person, give them a mark to show them the distance that they can stand to wait for their order. You don't want to have that too long. Make sure that the space, people are aware of the space between them. Let's let them know, just help them along with that. But best thing to do is place, if you have that sign up to explain to customers so that they're aware that there may be extended wait times, because there's only one person that is able to service you at a time. That is something the Small Business Services has provided some signs to businesses. So use that as a tool, as a template to help you design your sign. But make sure the sign is there. Update your website to match that sign as well, and also your voicemail too. If you are one of those delivery services, it may be great also to have on your website. Please expect a wait time normal than usual, because we do have that ordinance again where there's only one person that's there to fulfill an order for delivery or pickup. So those are some steps to know as well. If you're running into a situation, either a customer or you're a supermarket or any store owner that is having a concern with someone not practicing social distancing, conversation first in a nice way. Be polite, always pleasant with your customers, and customers too. You know what? We're all human beings as well, but we as well, as customers, we can also be nicer as well. Have a conversation with a store owner about what you're seeing, some concerns to address with them so they can help. So hopefully we are all is together. We're all flattening this curve. Social distancing is very important. You know, the fines are high, so let's practice the social distancing. And thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. Enjoy the rest of your day.